Good morning. This is Thursday, and we're doing moving on to chapter 2. And for chapter 2, it's going to be a lot of equations, solving one-step, two-step, multi-step equations, so that should be pretty easy. So most of this week is going to be, and next week is going to be a review. There's only one section in the set of notes, which is going to be difficult, and it's the very last one. So one step at a time here. So make sure you have your notes out. Make sure you have your calculators out. So if you need to stop this, do so. So here we go. So an equation says that two things are equal and has an equal sign. So an equation, which is different than an expression because it has that equal sign. We've already done this a little bit, translating these into an equation. So again, let's go back to our notes from our first chapter where it's got those clue words. So let's look at our clue words here. A number b divided by 3 is equal to 6 increased by the cube of c. So b divided by 3 is equal to 6 increased by the cube of c. Cubed means to the third power. Next, 15 added to z times 6 is means equal, y times 2 minus 11. So 15 added to z times 6, so we write it 6z, is equal to, or is, y times 2, so that's 2y, because our coefficients come first, minus 11. A number c multiplied by 6, so 6c is equal to 2 more than. 2 more than means it's going to go in the end. So d plus 2. 5 less than 2 times a number. So here's that less than. So that means minus 5. So 2 times x, 2 times a number, 5 less than 2 times a number is, which is my equal sign, the same as 7. So that just means equal to 7. All right. Practicing those is super helpful. All right, so the next one is solving these. So we're going to start with basic one-step equations and knowing your inverse operations. So the inverse of adding is subtracting. The inverse of subtracting is adding. The inverse of multiplication is division. The inverse of division is multiplication. And the inverse of something squared is its square root. And I'm going to add to the bottom here the inverse of a fraction is to multiply by its reciprocal. So for fractions, multiply by its reciprocal. And that is down here. All right, so let's try some of these. So hopefully, this should be a review for you. And I always just draw a line down the center where my equal sign is. So I know that whatever I do to this side, I need to do to this side. So on here, my first step, I'm solving for h. You're always just looking at the side with the variable. So this has an h over here. That means I need to get rid of that 12 and send him over. To do so, I'm going to do the opposite of subtracting 12, which is adding 12 to both sides. H is equal to, and in your calculator, go ahead and solve that, and you should get a negative 15. I always box out my answers so you can see them, and try the next one. You can stop this and do all of these on your own and then start this video again and check your answers. So I'm going to work these. Add 24 to both sides. A is equal to 40. Here I've got 2. So this really means what is the opposite of what is in parentheses. So I'm going to add 10 to both sides. So 15 is equal to x. And you can always check your work, obviously, by substituting these back in. So does 15 plus minus 10 equal 5? Yes, it does. Moving down. Anytime you have a number in front of, this can confuse you, but this is a positive 129. To get rid of it, we're going to subtract 129 from both sides. I know that's annoying, but that's just the way it is. You've got to keep that balance. That equal sign means both sides are equal, so what you do to this side, you have to do to this side. Most of you know that that really means negative negative is the opposite of negative 9, which is a positive 9. So I'm just going to rewrite this one from the start. It always makes it easier. And then that means I'm going to subtract 9 from both sides. So x is equal to 5. Next one. This one means multiplication, negative 15 times b. So again, I'm only looking at the side with the variable, and this is multiplication, negative 15 times b. So the inverse of multiplication is to divide both sides by negative 15. So b equals 5. This again, multiplication, divide both sides by 4. X is equal to a negative 6. This one here is a fraction. So how do we get rid of a fraction? We multiply both sides by its reciprocal. The reciprocal is the flip. So I'm going to multiply this side by a negative 2 over 1. Multiply this side by a negative 2 over 1. So x is equal to a negative 24. This one is division, or if you want to think of this as a fraction, you could put the 1 here and see that's 1/5. But whether it's division or you see this as a fraction, to get rid of division, you would multiply by 5, or 5 over 1. So x is equal to 55. All right, that's it for this section for Thursday. Make sure you do your assignment and don't forget to submit. If you have any questions, please email me.